it is week 2 of using my screen time to read every single book in my library. Last video, I went over the process of me figuring out how many times I've picked up my phone and writing it down in my journal. However, I also said in last video, because our week was wildly unsuccessful, I read 500 pages less than I needed to. I decided that my goal was unachievable, and so we have minimized the goal a little bit, and I decided to take my how many times I picked up my phone and half it, and that's how many pages I'm gonna read. So I went ahead and I did that while I ate my breakfast. Here's what our page is looking like now. This was from, don't look at my diary entry, guys. This is from last week, and then this is this week. So this week I have to read 363 pages, whereas last week I had 601. So I have about halved what I am gonna read this week. And I'm feeling a lot better about it. I had a lot of days last week where I had like over 100 pages for one day. And today I'm starting with 26 pages, which is 100% doable. I still have not finished Hangs a Man, but I will absolutely finish this week, and then we can finally get into Dracula. I've also got some garage sailing to do today. I said in last week's vlog I got my dorm announcement. I got put in an apartment dorm, which means I've got a really big dorm room and I'm in my room by myself, so I don't have to share a room with anybody else. And then on my floor, like in our area, we only have 6 people. I'm an introvert, so the less people the better, and I'm really excited. So we're gonna get started reading, and I'm actually gonna read this time, and then the rest of the day we're gonna do some garage sailing. I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. I'm gonna work a lot this week. I've got quite a few work days, so hopefully this vlog will be a lot more reading heavy. I think that after last week I can adjust and figure out what's gonna be best for me. Okay, I'm at work. Or I'm about to go into work. I don't want to. It's Labor Day. So everybody's going to be doing their shopping. And school's going back in 2 days. So everybody's going to be doing their back to school shopping. And I have an hour lunch. And so I was going to read on my hour lunch. I forgot my book. So I will be reading when I get home. I ended up not reading yesterday just because I was super demotivated in the morning, and then I went and I did the
blackberries, and then I came in and I made the cookies, and that took a lot longer than I thought.
So that didn't happen. I might just quit my job, low-key. I hate my job. Side quest. We're at Michael's. My sister needed some yarn, and I actually need some fabric for my concert outfit for a concert I'm going to next week. So, I actually don't know if they have fabric at Michael's. I don't know. Joann's went out of business, so I don't know where to get my fabric anymore. I don't know. We'll see what they have. Let's go. I got what we needed. So now it's time to look in the Halloween section and take pictures of all the stuff I want for my dorm. I should not have side quested, because now I have to go to bed. See you in the morning. Okay, I haven't finished the book yet, but I'm very close. We're very close, and I'm gonna finish the book tonight, but I do not feel like I want to film it. I'm feeling very sick, and so I feel like I'm just gonna go lay in my bed really ugly and just finish it and then go to bed. I want to give final thoughts before I finish the book, because I think that when I give final thoughts after finishing a book, a lot of my impressions are based on the ending. And that's not all there is to a book, ever. I want to focus on the entire book, so I'm going to give my little impressions, my spoiler-free impressions, before I finish. And then, once I finish, I will have a spoiler version of my impressions, because I won't be able to hold back by the time I finish the book. This is the first thing I've read by Shirley Jackson, and I say the first because I definitely want to read more from her. I really, really like her writing style. She uses a lot of different like plot and writing devices that I feel like a lot of authors kind of find like a couple of like devices or like a style that they like and they stick to that. But this book really feels like an exploration of what could happen if you mix a bunch of writing styles together. Not only in the writing of the original story, but the switch between the narration to Natalie's thoughts, and between her letters to her father's letters to her. I know one of the characters reads a story out loud, and that story is written differently from the rest of the book. The dialogue, that like just the way that characters talk is very different from each other. And then the way that things are split up, it's split up in various different ways. There will be like chapters where it ends on one page and then the next page has like a space, but there's nothing there that has like a chapter number. But then also sometimes you'll be transported to a different scene just from a paragraph break, or there will be like a little line in between sections, or the next page will be another like break in time or whatever. I like the way it's written, and the way that it is written is part of what keeps me intrigued. And that's just the English major in me just being like, ooh, this is written so cool. I like how they did that, and like not focusing on the story. As for the story, I'm gonna try and say this as spoiler-free as possible. It is very much an exploration more of Natalie's like mind and how she's taking this experience than it is about the experience, if that makes sense. She's going off to college, and that's why I got this book, is because I'm going off to college. I wanted to pick it up and I wanted to read it because I thought that, you know, I could maybe relate a little bit. I don't think that this is what my college experience is going to be like, but I think it will be in some ways. Natalie is she doesn't really fit in. I am definitely that person. She tends to see a lot of the other girls as like, I don't want to say stupid, because she doesn't see them as stupid, unimportant. She sees them as unimportant, and like she shouldn't bother with them. Like they're not worth her time. She just seems very like in on herself, and she's got like one close friend that she doesn't find until like the very end of the book, which is absolutely very much me as well. I don't really find friends until it's time to lose friends. There's my spoiler-free recap, and we'll come back with a spoiler version probably tomorrow, but it'll be later in the day because I have to go to work in the morning again, and I have to work all day again. Toodaloo. You can't see me. I was gonna record my book review, but hang on, what if I... Yeah, it didn't do anything. Well, I will see you in about 5 hours to give the book review when it is light outside. Okay, I'm home. It's review time. First of all, I want to give a summary. Basically, the story follows the main character, Natalie, as she moves out of her childhood home and goes off to college. She's in a girls' dorm, she's in a single dorm, and the story basically follows her and what she does in college, and it explores her mind and what's going on in her head, as well as the relationship between a teacher and a former student, the Langdons. I feel like the Langdons are not the main character, but they play a big part in the story, and I think that they are very important. Okay, so now for a spoiler including review. Why is my... what the hell? I loved this, even with the ending. I think it's really good. I feel like the ending was not like a hard enough of a conclusion for it to distort how I felt about the rest of the book. I think it ended very smoothly. I was kind of expecting it to be like a big flashy finish, I think, just the way that it was going, but it didn't go that way. With the way that Tony was guiding Natalie into the forest, I feel like it almost seemed like Tony disappeared, and it almost makes me question if Tony was ever real at all, or if she was just completely a figment of Natalie's imagination. But I also feel like it's not possible because their narrator inserted themselves into the story. So the narrator was a person who, you know, was present, and I assume was watching Natalie and Tony. And I almost wonder if the narrator took Tony. I don't know. It's all just speculation, and like completely baseless thinking of like just me wondering what the heck happened to Tony. I want to like look at and see if anybody's written anything about this book, just to see how other people interpreted it, because I always feel like I interpret things wrong. I have to say, I haven't cried over a book in a long time, and there was one specific part during this one that I cried a little bit. It was not like full-bodied sobbing, but it was at the part where Elizabeth, Arthur's wife, got like really drunk, and they kind of dumped her with Natalie to take her home, and all she was saying to Natalie was, I want to die, I want to die, I want to die. And that was like, oh my god. And then when he went to Natalie later in the book and was like, we're having a baby, I cried again, because oh god, no way. And then the we're having a baby was like the end of what we saw in their relationship, and I definitely feel like that symbolizes an end for sure. It was the end of Elizabeth's youthful stage with Arthur. I'm not a fan of how that turned out. I wish that Arthur had cheated on Elizabeth with Anne, and like Elizabeth found out and like got out of the situation for sure, because she's obviously in a very bad situation. Arthur is very emotionally manipulative, very emotionally manipulative, and I don't like that. I've been emotionally manipulated, not only in my family but in my life, and I think that that's what made me cry for her, is because I've had a similar like feelings, and so that it hit me hard, because I was like, oh, I can relate to this. Yeah, I think it was really good. I really like it. I would definitely recommend reading it. And I think it was a good first book for this challenge, because it makes me motivated and excited to read some more. So with that being said, we've got one book done. I updated my Notion, and you might have seen, but we are starting Dracula. I'm very pumped because Dracula is 100% a classic that I need to read. That was Hangs a Man by Shirley Jackson. Very good book, very love. And let's get going on with our next book. Involved with the high school sports, so I'm real.